Put your
This
name in
conference
this
will
thing.
now be recorded.
Go ahead. What was that question?
Herb Schlepp, where do I put my name on this, or would it just come up from my computer linking in?
It should automatically come up, but sometimes people don't have their names automatically listed. So when you scroll through the attendees list, which I can't tell you how to view that because everybody's going to have a different view. If you don't see your name, then you know for some reason you didn't enter it correctly, and you're going to have to figure out which one you are, if at all possible.
Find the word Schlepp here.
Find the word attendees and press the down arrow to
Okay,
see the
thank
list
you.
of names.
Okay, I guess we'll get started here. Thank you everybody for attending. We'll hopefully get something out of this. Everybody learned something a little bit. Starting off with the C3s, we'll start off with the 68 Dash. There's one that's pretty much gutted. Not too many people get to see that view of things. 68 on the passenger side had no map pocket, and also there was no stitching across the top up in here on the 68, 69 of the dashes like there was in later years. There's a view of the defrost vent in the middle of the top of the dash there. Should be colored the same as the dash. Early 68s had a bluish tint in the lettering on the wiper switch. This particular car does not have air conditioning. It has the block off plate here. There should be a little vent underneath here for just the ventilation. Later 68 you can see has a the white lettering. It don't have the blue tint in it. I can't tell you exactly when that changed. There's a early 68 air conditioning vent. It is all one piece across here. There's a later one, you can see it split in the middle. If the car did not have air conditioning, it had the side vents, and these vent knobs, there was a couple different changes. 68, 69, there was 3 different changes in them. They were on the console. Like I said, there's the second style. You can see the difference between the first here and the second style. They are on the console up toward the front of it, and both sides on non-air conditioned cars. On air conditioned cars, they were blank, or there was no opening for them. 68, the ignition switch was on the dash yet, the last year for that. The you can see here the steering wheel, the overlap in the 2 pieces was started in 67. Also the hazard flasher for all 68 and standard 69 columns was kind of a short chrome piece. The telescopic wheel or the column on the 68s, that was the locking for it. The horn button was pretty much the same as the standard columns. A turn signal knob, kind of a belled out with grooves in the tapered part coming back down. The outside had kind of a ring around it on the face of it. Early override switches was to the right side of the path, or the driver's side dash area. You had the rear window defogger. You had a rotary switch mounted on the side panel in front of the console area. Later 68s, they moved the override switches underneath the steering column. There's an instruction tag for the use of these knobs. Gauge cluster in 68 was a smooth finish. In this area here, it had warning lights. We will get into that more in the gauge section next time. Here you can see the difference in the face here, how smooth the 68 is compared to the 69, and later had a texture, pebble grain texture to it. '68 had cross flags at the very back of the console here, or 69 they start putting in a engine ID tag. You can also see there is no stitching along the edges here like there was in later cars. The light switch, you can see the difference, 68, early 69s compared to the later 69. The back part of the console in 68 had pockets to store the seat belts in, where in 69 the seat belts had a vinyl coating over them that kind of stored them. You didn't need the pockets in there anymore. If you had power windows, the switches was beside the parking brake in the back of the rear column, or the console there. They were chromed. The lever should stick just above the bezels around them, not real high. The heater controls for 68 was a little different than the later years. You can see here where the vent knobs was here on the non-air conditioned cars, where the air conditioned cars, there was no provisions for the vent area. Both the fan switches toward the front here area were both 3-speed in 68. The ashtray in the lighter area, the lid to the right of the heater column or heater switches and so forth. The 68 early shift boot had no bellows type. There was an extra wrinkle kind of in the later 68s and on. You can see that this is pretty smooth, where this has got a offset here. Also, you've got the fiber optics at the front and the back for the headlights and the taillights to tell you if they were lit. Just a better view of the fiber optics. The plate around the front up here on the early cars, I believe, was plastic, and later it turned to metal. A lot of the reproductions does not have the letters raised. They're kind of put on with like a backing, or a glued on backing type material. '69, we added the map pockets to the passenger side. Early '69, the map pockets was sewed something similar to this. Later on, they wrapped around the edge, and it was pretty much like this as long as the map pockets was used. You can see the stitching around the top part of all 3 pockets. They changed this to this style. They said the black changed earlier than the colors. Also on the vents, you can see in 69 they added a knob where you could kind of control the amount of air coming out. It was chromed in 69. A little better view of the knob, the vent. Steering wheel, 69, all steering wheels were black, was in 68 they were a wood grain type material or finish on them. They were a little bit smaller in 69. The horn button for the tilt telly wheel, the horn cap itself was a little larger. You can see in this that the lock area is still right up in here. There's a picture of a telly column. You can see the tilt back here also on this tilt telly column. It started in 69. This adjusted your tilt. Also on the tilt telly columns, the protrusion for the ignition switch was stuck farther out than they did on the standard columns. You can see a standard column, it don't stick out very good. You can see the hazard flasher knob here. It's chromed with black letters around the edge. Very common to see all this chip work around the side of the column from the keys dangling there. And also see on the ignition switch, there's protrusion sticking out to kind of help turn it, so you just don't always turn it with just the key. It has a lock on the column here. It's protruded out to where you line up when the key comes out. A little different picture of the telly column. You can see how it sticks out. The lock here, you can see it's up and down, where the other column, it was horizontal this way on it. Also, the hazard switch was a little different on the 69 tilt telly columns. It was a little longer. The 69, when it moved the ignition to the column, the bowl around the column itself actually turned. There was two different warning labels on the 69s. This was the early style, and here was the later style. You can see the turn signal. The knob is a lot like on the 68, just like the 68s were. The AC vents, you had a little arm down here that you can control the amount of air actually coming out. If you didn't want as much out, you could kind of damper it down. The second style knob from 68 to through the early 69s. There's the later 69 style knob. The knobs themselves was kind of a smooth finish here. The heat and air conditioning controls, difference between the air conditioned and non-air conditioned. Also, the switch on the air conditioned had 4 positions or 4 different settings rather than 3 on the non-air conditioned and the 68s. See the difference between the heater controls from 68 through 69 and through 71. The letters, by the way, should be kind of a green tint. They are silk screened on the plastic lens. Here's the air conditioning controls, the difference between them. You can see the lettering is a lot different between the two. Here's the engine ID tag, started in '69. Gives you the cubic inch, the horsepower, the torque, and the compression ratio. Also, sometime in '69, there was 2 screws added in this area and this area. They were just for a short time period in there that they were there. Here's a 3-speed column, which there weren't very many of these made. '69 was the last year that the 3-speed was the standard transmission. Shift pattern for 4-speed, it's raised on all on the 3-speed and the 4-speed patterns. There's the automatic column or console there. Knob for the automatic was plastic with a push down for the get it out of park. Parking brake handle. Had a cross hatch on the sides for kind of gripping. Tip in the top to release it to bring it back down.
I was going to say that's a 435 automatic. There were only like 256 of those cars. That's very interesting. You got a picture of it. I had one way back when.
1970 dash. Do we have any questions so far, Nick?
No, I don't see any chat questions.
Has anybody got anything they'd like to add to this point? Or tell me what I said wrong or anything? Okay, we'll keep going. 70 dash. You could get the deluxe interior starting in 70. It was a veneered walnut insert. It was not contact type paper. It was actually a wood veneer. They started stitching across the dash. As you can see, they're not straight across. They're on a raised portion. The 70 steering wheel, 15-inch with grain black vinyl rims. And I know the one before had a different steering wheel on, which was an aftermarket wheel. You can see here also this has got the tilt telly wheel because it's got the 2 levers or handles here, and it's got the lock position up here on top for the telly part. '70, there was some different knobs for the turn signal and the tilt part of the columns. They're both plastic. You can see the one that's got the grooves in like earlier. The other one is smooth. It's got a ring around the outside here. You can see the where the gauges are. It's a grain like it was in '69. The map pocket was wrapped around like it was in the '69. You can also see the stitching on the dash and also see the stitching starting to go down the column here or the console area. There you can see the stitching along the edge and the motor ID tag there. Map pockets 71, still the same. Steering wheel for 71. You can see here the hazard switch sticks out farther on the tilt telly columns than it does on the standards. You can also see the lock raised was up and down rather than horizontal like it was on the standard columns. And once again, you can see the scratching part on the column there where the keys kind of break down and fall over and take the paint away. The override switches are still underneath the steering column. This button over here was for the trip odometer reset. The hood release to the outside over here. Engine ID tag still the same for in the same layout pattern as it was in 69 and 71. You can see here the vent knobs now are kind of textured. They got a grain texture to them. A non-AC control there for the heat. There's a 72 AC control. You can see the letters are now white. They're not greenish tin anymore. You can see it's got 4 positions for the fan. You can see also that with the AC, there's no controls for the side vents. Temp control difference between the 69 71 and 72 to 76. Difference in the AC controls. We changed the format of the engine ID tag. See the difference between the 2 tags there?
Hey, Mike, before you get
Yeah.
into shift pattern, you want to go through a few chat questions?
Okay.
All right. When did the 4-speed shift boot become leather-like as opposed to the rubber?
70, 71, hang on here, man. Let me get my notes out. And that's what anybody else can tell me right off their head. Terry Buchanan, can you tell me?
Yeah, it changed in 70 to leather.
Leather? Okay, thank you. I had it here in my notes. It just takes me a while to find all of them.
And then
Next
the slide 244, you mentioned a warning on the steering column, but there was no mention on the 7071. Did the design change in 70?
Yes. The column, late 69, the column actually it was designed different where it didn't rotate like it did in 69. 69 was the only year that had the warning on there because the column actually rotated when you moved the shifter. And I don't know, they put a coating around it or something, so it did not do that anymore in late 69, I believe. Is that right, Terry?
Yes, that's correct, Mike.
Okay. And then on slide 271 is 1972, the first year for the 4-speed fan.
No, that started in 69 on the air-conditioned cars. Non-air conditioned cars still had a 3-speed fan.
And then the current slide we're on, are you showing, let's see, the question is that a 72?
Probably is.
And that's it for questions.
Okay. We'll move on along a little bit farther. You can 72 also the knobs changed to a grain rubber rather than the plastic as in earlier. You can also see kind of down here in the corner, the vent knob changed to black. I believe I got another slide of that coming up. Map pockets for 73. Same as earlier. Defroster vent, the speaker area on top of the dash, pretty much the same. Just the stitching on the dashes are started in 70, 68, 69 did not have that stitching, but pretty much the same basic layout. Vent knobs changed to black. Also the wiper area, where the wording stuff changed a lot here. You can kind of see the difference in the areas there. 73 started like that. Steering wheel, standard column, the smaller horn button. Turn signal, still the same as the 72. The hazard knob changed now. It now has a screw in the center to hold it in there with hazard in white letters in the indentation or the cone shape area of it. You can also see this is a tilt telly column, the way the lock is here and the lever and how far out it sticks. The underside of the dash. The 73 column or console area. The heat temp controls with AC, without AC. They changed the format again a little bit. Instead of having the, they put the L82 on. And there's kind of a close-up of the wiper switch area. 74, they changed if you had the rear window defroster to a rocker type switch rather than the rotary switch as in earlier. '75 center console area. Pretty much still the same. Standard column. See the standard horn cap there. There's a telly column. You can see the difference in the horn cap, a lot larger, and you can see the area behind there for the lock to move around. Standard interior did not have the walnut insert around this area. See the L82 ship plate or engine ID tag there. There's a custom interior with the leather grain or the walnut insert around it. There you can see the difference between the 350 cubic inch changed spots. They did not put the torque on the later ones, just the L82. '75 turn signal and tilt, still got the rubber grained knobs on the end. Wiper control still the same as earlier was when they changed. Back part of the console pretty much the same. Temperature controls, again, 75. Started in 75, 76, 77. They put what they called a lap cooler. It was a vent off the air conditioning system right in this area. '76 steering wheel. They went to the 4-spoke. A lot of controversy on this Vega wheel, I guess is what they called it. There's the standard. You can see how the horn cap is here versus the Tele. You can see how the difference of the horn cap here. And the lock, you no longer had just a lever sticking up. It was this grooved area around here that locked it. A lot of people did not realize that they had a Tele wheel, and because it was not real obvious that that was the lock area.
Hey, Mike, want to do a couple questions?
Yep. Okay.
Horn buttons, were they typically interior color?
Yes, for the most part.
Okay. And then was 72 the first year they eliminated the fiber optics?
Yes.
And when or if, or yeah, did the steering wheel get smaller? If so, when?
It was, I believe, 16 inches in 68, and it went to 15 inches in 69. And I believe it held about that, but then the center spokes changed, as you can see, in 76, and they change here again. If you got the Tele wheel or the Tele column coming up here, there'll be another change into it too. But I think the outside diameter pretty much stayed the same after 69.
Okay, and then I don't know that this is referring to a specific slide, but it asks, what is the meaning of the embossed numbers inside a circle on the back of a plastic steering wheel?
Okay, I'm whereabouts on the back of the steering wheel are they embossed?
Jerry, if you want to unmute and expand on that, you can.
Yeah, Mike, I've noticed on the back side of the rim, I'm sorry you didn't, I hadn't noticed that you hadn't talked about or shown a picture of the slide with one, but there's a small circle on the back of a plastic rim steering wheel, and it's about maybe 3/8 of an inch in diameter, and they have just I've seen them with just a single number embossed in that area. That's kind of stamped into the steering wheel.
I believe that is a date code. We often see those kinds of date codes on aluminum castings as well as plastic molded parts.
Would that number correspond to the year of the car or the month, or do you know, Terry?
Typically, those numbers are the center number is the year, sometimes just the last digit and sometimes 2 digits. And then around the circle in a clock-like fashion is a number for the month, but sometimes those center numbers are also the week of the year. So I think it depends, well, on whether it's aluminum or plastic. There's a lot of variations in there.
Sure. Do you know if that is in the judging manuals? Is that that part of the steering wheel judged?
We'd have to talk about what year and what judging manual we'll talk about, but the only ones that I'm familiar with are the 68-9 and the 70-72, and it is not in those manuals.
Okay. Yeah, I was referring to the 70, 71, 72 models. So thank you.
And a couple more questions, Mike. The 67 steering wheel, is that the same for 68 and 69?
The way, how do I want to put this? The way the metal pieces are put together is basically the same in 67, 68 with the two pieces. But I believe, I'm not sure what the rim size is in 67 right off my head. I'd have to go back and look whether it's, I don't think it's identical because I think there's a difference in it, but I can't tell you right off my head. I don't have that note with me right now.
Okay, and then no specific year or slides, but the comment is on the left and right of a vent regulator for no AC is a plastic part. That part is missing from the manuals and not on some photos. Can you explain? I'm not quite sure what the part he's referring to. It's Andreas Lamke, if you wanted to unmute and expand on that.
Yes, so it is on the little lever on the vent regulator, and this is part of left and right of this lever. And when it's not inside, you can say it's a hole there where you move the lever. It's big, you can say. And normally there should be plastic parts, but they are not in the manuals. And here on some of the photos, they are also missing. Not on all, on some pictures here.
That was a real bad echo. I'm not quite sure I caught that. Did you, Mike?
I couldn't hear. Do you have any idea what he would be talking about, Terry?
The audio was terrible, so I couldn't understand what he said, but I think he's referring to, there's a piece of plastic alongside the vent levers in the non-air conditioned 68 through 72. And I think that piece of plastic is there just to prevent vibration, noise from vibration. I think that's what he's referring to, and I cannot tell you if we've covered that in the judging manuals. My gut feeling is we have not, but it's probably something we should, because it's easily misplaced.
I don't know if Gary Bosselman's on here or not. Gary, you on?
It's correct what you have said.
Yes, I am, and it is in the judging manual, but they're very hard to see during judging because they're actually underneath the metal plate. I'll try and get a better picture of that when I have a car apart and put a better picture in the judging manual.
I can show you a picture of this, but wait, is it there? Can I show this? Is it possible?
Yeah, I can't get what he's saying, so.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
he's got a photo of it. The easiest thing I think is if you just email that to Mike after the presentation, if you do have a photo
Okay,
of
I
that.
will do it.
Okay, that will work. Anything else? Any other comments or anything? Anybody got any questions or anything else?
Nothing more on the chat.
Okay, we'll move on a little bit farther then. 76, they put some colors in the air conditioning controls. Blue for the cold and red for the hot. Engine ID tag for 76. 77, we changed the console area. You can see the parking brake area was a lot different than earlier cars. The position of the power window switches has moved forward. The ignition switch, to release the key out, there is a lever that's added in there, and also the hazard switch has changed considerably. It's got a round, or the hazard is on a round portion that kind of moves in and out to when you push it in, it so you can release it. '76 horn. You can see with the telly wheel that we've got aluminum spokes on these now, and there is no slots in them. They're solid. There's they did away with these because of the reflection on the from the aluminum, could distract the driver. You will see some with it on there, but there was a recall and they were supposed to put painted ones on, but some of them did not get recalled, I guess. Also, the top of the dash, you can see the stitching is going up across this area again. If in '67, they moved the wiper switch to the turn signal. If you had telly, you still had the grained knob on the end. If you had cruise control, it went to the tilt knob. The wiper was still on the turn signal area. The vent area, still the same as our earlier ones. We did away with the map pockets in 678 and put a glove box in, and the vents changed from round to square in 78. Here's the difference in the inside of the glove boxes. If you ordered an 8-track, you had carriers to put your 8-tracks in the glove box. If the car was ordered with an 8-track and you took it out, put a different radio in, and took the pieces out of the inside of the glove box area here, you should have some holes in there left from where these was mounted in there. '78 console. You can see the pace cars had a special plate back in here. Difference between the earlier consoles and the '78. The heater controls have changed considerably. If you got the rear window defroster, the switch is now here beside it. There you can see the difference in the hazard switch and also the key release. You can also see the lock embossed in the column here with the arrow out where the key release, or when it comes out, it should be in that position. '78, the wipers moved back to the dash off of the turn signal. '79 steering wheel. There's a '78 anniversary horn cap. Light switch down below the wiper switch. You can also see here that the turn signal and the tilt levers, knobs have changed. better view of the turn signal handle. See the hazard switch there. (1980) dash. 1981 steering wheel. You can see the Corvette emblem in the horn cap there for an 81. Column, the hazard switch, the ignition switch, pretty much like the earlier ones after it had changed. There's a 1980 turn signal without cruise control. It's just the standard knob. There's the turn signal with the cruise control. Light switch. The heater controls. 81, you could get the power sports mirrors. You can see the controls to move them, and you had a switch right under here to switch back and forth between the two mirrors, which one you wanted to move. Console area, 81. See the rear part of the console area where the park brake is, after it changed 78, pretty much stayed the same through 82. Shift pattern for 81, you can see here it's got 1, 2, 3 neutral, reverse, and park. 82 collector's edition interior. You can see the dash and the console area. All of the interior color match the collector's edition colors. Here's the steering wheels. You can see that they changed colors with the interior. Collector's edition kind of had a unique horn button steering wheel. You can see here that there's a split here, and a split there, where the regular steering wheels did not have that. And the horn button was leather covered. And here you can see there's only a slit here. There's no slit in these areas here. It's a solid piece around there, unlike the collector's edition. Collector's edition console was kind of a beige color, not black like the rest or most of them. Also in the shift pattern, you see the 1 is missing. It's just 2, 3, drive, neutral, reverse, and park. A little different than the 81. Collector's edition front part of the console. Before we go into the C4s, is there any more questions or any comments on any of the other C3 stuff?
Yeah, a couple check questions. do you have a photo of map pockets in the door without power windows?
No, I don't, but I do know that there's a difference in I think 79s. If you had non-power windows, the handles actually come through the map pockets themselves, and I do not have a photo of that. That's really not into the dash area, but
Okay. And then when did the high beam switch move from the floor to the steering column lever?
I believe it was 78. I'm not real sure on that. Can anybody answer that one for sure?
Okay, and then this might be a gauge question, but do you know when the speedometer switched to 85 miles per hour? What year?
We'll cover that next video.
Yep, somebody actually responded 1980.
Yes, late 79s had an 85. So, but 80 is when they mandated it. But late 79s, the run ran so long they ran out of speedometers. They had to put some 80 speedometers in it. But yeah, we'll cover that more next time.
Then when did telescopic go back to the lever operation from the collar?
Telescopic always had the lock up toward the column. Just the tilt was on the lever.
Maybe they meant tilt.
All columns that tilted was with the lever on all of them. The telescopic, there was some kind of a lock mechanism up towards the top by the horn cap.
Hey, Mike.
Yes.
This is Matt. I was referring to the earlier telescopic had the lever on the steering horn button, and then sometime it switched over to like a collar that you could barely see. Then it looked like it went back to the lever.
76 was the only year it had the collar around the horn button. The rest of them all had the lever in front of the horn button.
Okay. Thank you.
Then one of the recent photos you showed the shift pattern for an automatic that started in the second gear. Did that mean the transmission did not actually have a first gear, or they just didn't show it?
No, they didn't show it in 82. 81 has had the one down there, and 82 they dropped the one for some reason. I don't know.
Okay, that's it for chat questions.
Anybody got any comments or can add anything or tell me what I said wrong?
On the gauge clusters of the 81 and 82s, if you had an ETR radio,
We'll get into that next video. That's in the gauge.
And as far as transmission for the 82 is the first year of the 700R, which had an overdrive. So that's why you had a difference in the lettering there.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get into the gauges next time. That's all. I kind of had to break some of that off because this whole thing got really blown out of proportion. I found so much information. So, but yeah, if you can hang in there, watch the next one. We'll explain a lot more on the gauges. Okay. Anything else? Okay, we'll start into the C4s then. 84, a whole new car. There's kind of one with a lot of the parts taken off, so you can kind of see the back end area. You can see it's got an aftermarket radio in it. Passenger side, they had a provision for an airbag, which they ended up didn't need, and so the protrusion still stayed there and basically called a bread box on most people will call it that. You can see the vent coming out through the middle of it, or toward the right side of it, excuse me, with the Corvette embossed in the center. The center part of the dash had the selector panel for different gauges. Steering wheel, just a two-spoke leather covered. You can see the horn cap with the C4 logo and the horn kind of embedded in the bottom lower part. If you had cruise control or not cruise control, there's the difference in the turn signal levers. There's a better picture of the horn cap. You can see the horn emblem embossed in the bottom there. You can see the side of the dash here has a opening that puts air out into the mirror area. And the hood release is underneath the dash here on these cars, kind of off to the side. You can see the light switch, the fog light switch. Console area. This is a 4-speed car with overdrive. You can see right here that the overdrive switch is on the back of the column. Later it moves up to actually the top of the shifter column, or the shifter itself. There's a 4+3 emblem in the 4-speed or the manual cars, right in the top of the console itself. You can see the cigarette lighter here. There's two areas here that the ashtray is missing out of this particular picture. There's a picture of the ashtray area closed, and this is an automatic car. You can see the difference in the top of the console there. There's a manual car with closed. Here's the override switch. You can see the hazard switch on the column. Symbols for the switches for the seat controls was here. Your window controls was here. Your mirrors, to adjust the mirrors, the control was here to adjust them in and out. This told you which mirror you were adjusting, and there you can kind of see the override switch on this one. Radio heater controls. You can see this one, there's no symbols on the side here for the seat controls. You can see the window controls and the mirror controls here. The storage area in the console. You can see a area for cassette tapes in here. To the right over here was a hatch release button, and to the front area here there was some places to store coins. Inside the glove box or the storage area here there was a light. '86 dash, a lot like the 84s and 85s. Big change. The steering wheel got thicker in '86 than it was in '84 and '85. There's also a little difference in the horn cap. It's a little thicker, a little more padded, seemed like. The also in '86, they right in this area, you can see a difference in the way the gauges were set in there. It was set on a different angle. They said to keep the reflection down a little different. You can kind of see a little better in this this picture how much more area there is down here than there is here in the earlier ones. The headlight symbol changed in 86 on the headlight switch. All 86 convertibles was considered or had the Indy 500 plaque on the dash by the heater controls. Late in 86, they come out with the electronic heat controls. Also, there was 50 special edition cars made for this dealership, and they had this plaque on the console area below the heater control stuff. 87 dash, pretty much like the earlier ones. The overdrive switch moved up to the top of the shifter in 86. Was there through 88 when the 89 they come out with the 6 speeds. In 87, you could get a power passenger seat. When you did that, you got controls on both sides for the seats. Also, you could order a Callaway twin turbo or turbo engine. There was a boost gauge put up in the place of one of the air vents in the center. It also had the Callaway twin turbo on the dash. It also had a engraved plate on the back of the ashtray lid, and also the horn cap. 88, 35th anniversary. Steering wheel was light, horn cap was light. Cruise control became standard in 88, so all cars will have cruise controls on the turn signal. '89, 6-speed transmission became the option. Also in '89, the FX3 suspension, that is the control. It was located at the back edge of the behind the shifter on the console area. This particular car was one of the challenge cars. You can see it had the extra knobs and stuff in the interior and the netting with the roll bar area. 1990, dash changed completely. Added a glove box on the passenger side. Had air conditioning vents below that. Console area was completely changed. Here's one kind of with a lot of the stuff missing. Don't see that real often like this. You can see it's had the airbag as in the 94, 96 cars. Otherwise, there'd be an open area there for the glove box. There's glove box open, closed. Fuse panel is on the side, passenger side, held in by a little thumb screw type knob. Early cars, the lettering was orange. The horn buttons area was gray. 90, 91. You got a 4-spoke steering wheel back again. Corvette embossed in the horn cap. The center, I guess it's not a horn cap in the center now, it's an airbag because the horns are off to the side, but Take that back. That's the airbag in there now. Hazard. You can see there's a release button added in the ignition switch right up in here. I got a little better picture, I think, coming up here on it. There you can kind of see the release button to put the key back to where you can take it out to the lock position. The controls for your area that you can bring up different options to monitor conditions of the car. We'll go into more of that in the gauges next video. Lettering 9091 is orange. The knobs are gray. You can see the dimmer switch here for the interior lights and the area down here for the fog lights. Cruise control. See the orange lettering on there. If you got a ZR1, you got a they call it a valet switch to cut the power down. So if somebody parking it could not take joyrides in it, at full power. The power seats switches changed here. You got one for the driver's side, one for the passenger side. They are a lot different than the earlier ones. The ashtray area with a cigarette lighter, you can see the ashtray is missing out of this. In 1990, they had two places to hold the cigarettes. Starting in 91 and later, they just had a single. The back one was done away with. There's the seat controls. You had the FX3. The switch for that was between the seat controls. The electronic temperature control, as you can see, they're gray knobs with the orange lettering. Was pretty standard on all the knob or all the controls in 9091. There's a manual control versus the electronic. Temperature sensor was at the front of the edge of the dash in front of the defroster area. '92 dash, glove box area. You can see the knobs changed to black. We still had orange lettering. Also, you could start the traction control was an option. Steering wheel, pretty much the same, except the horn buttons are black now rather than the gray as earlier. There was a pad on the dash to keep the keys from scratching the dash area up in here. Buttons are all black, orange lettering pretty much all across all the controls. Passenger side dash. Starting in 94, we lost the glove box up here and they've got an airbag now. The lettering was white. There's the fuse panel on the passenger side. You can see the little thumb screw to open it up. Console area. Manual seat controls. You can see here there is no power controls in this area, just an indentation area. There's just a power drivers seat. And there is a power passenger seat. And if you had the sports seats to the right, you can see you had a little different switch controls on the right side for the sports seats. '89 to '94 in the 6-speed, you can see the lockout knob there below the main knob, where in '95 they done away with that. There was a detent rather than to lift it up. Manual temperature controls, 94 through 96. Console, you can see here at the back, this was added into, you had to step on the brake to get it out of park. In this particular one, you can see the ashtray and the rubber insert for if you put a cool cup in there and it sweated, you didn't go down in the dash area, it stayed in that rubber cup, supposedly. The storage area, a little different on the later cars. You can see the controls for the sports seats again. We want to go through the C4 stuff. Any questions or any comments or anything anybody wants to add?
Yeah, on slide 360 and 361, you mentioned an override switch. What is that for?
The manual transmissions from 84 through 88 was a 4-speed with a 3-speed overdrive. And that actually switched in the overdrive, basically. They had a lot of problems with them transmissions leaking and exploding, so they weren't a real popular transmission.
That was the only chat question.
Anybody got anything they want to add on them? Anything I missed that you think needs to be brought up? Okay, we'll go to the C5s. 97 dash. You can see the passenger side, we got an airbag to the top, a glove box to the bottom. The temperature control in the middle. The driver information control buttons. There's a manual temperature control versus what I showed you earlier on the electronic air controls with turn signal with the light dimmer and the cruise control. You had a wiper control on the other side of the steering column there. Console area. You can see the park brake along the side over here. Traction control and the different suspension, if you had the optional optional suspension controls. Console storage area cover. You can see the key in the side here. If you can lock it up. inside the storage area. And there's the park brake along the side. '98 pace car. You can see the can't really see it real good, but the stitching on the shifter has got yellow stitching, and also on the steering wheel. I got better pictures of them coming up. There you can kind of see the yellow stitching around the steering wheel. And there you can see the yellow stitching on the shifter boot and the shifter knob itself. In this particular picture, you can see the ashtray area with the cigarette lighter, and down here the cup holder area.
And Mike, couple quick questions.
Yep.
From 90 to 96, the cars had the diagnostic plug under the dash. Some seem to have a cove while others didn't. Is there specific reasons why the difference?
Can't tell you that for sure. I'll have to,
cover. They missed. It was a type of a cover over it.
yeah, I can't tell you why they some of them did and some of them didn't. I don't know whether. I don't know. I'll have to do some more looking into that, see if I can find out anything.
Okay, and then slide 430. What is the knob on the left side for?
430. Yep. On the left, let me see if I can find my notes here. Hang on. Unless somebody can come up with it here right offhand, I'm going to have to do some looking.
Mike, I believe that the one on the left is the auxiliary power and the one on the right is the gas door.
Okay, that you could plug stuff into this, right? That's just a plug area. Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
Yep. Too many things in my head. I can't remember it all.
That's it for questions.
Okay. There you can see the difference in the columns between an automatic and a manual shift. The stitching along the side of the boots are kind of on the same. It's just got the shift pattern on the console on the automatic and on top of the shifter knob on the manual. Yeah, this one you can kind of see the difference in the knob here that plugs. It's kind of like a cigarette lighter area here. '99 dash area. 99, you could get the heads-up display. You can see the area here where it is projected up onto the windshield. And there's the controls for the heads-up display. We'll probably get into that a little more in the gauge section. In the glove box area, there was a airbag switch to shut off the passenger side airbag if you were carrying a little baby in a car seat on the passenger side. And you had a light to tell you whether it was on or off on the console area. There's a same picture with the ride control selector knob on the console area. The vent to put air out into the door area, into the mirrors and area out in the door. can see the seal is actually on the door here, mates up to the opening in the dash. (2003) dash area. Steering wheel. Temp control, electronic temp control there. The inside of the console storage area, you can see the where you can plug into here. That's it for the C5s. We want to, any comments or any questions in the C5 stuff? I got a little bit here on the C6. If anybody wants to see it, we can go into that a little bit if you want. Seeing as how we're going to start judging them here in the near future.
No chat questions, but a general question, just which will be helpful to everybody. If you happen to have to switch from your phone to your tablet to your computer, we still log that. We just see when you log in and log back out, so we're still tracking your total time on the virtual school to make sure you get your point. So it's not an issue when you log in and out using different devices. Let's see, when did heated steering wheels come in?
Oh, I'm not sure on that one. I'll have to do some looking. I know the heated seats started, I think, here in the C6s. I'm not sure on the steering wheels. I haven't got into the C6 stuff a whole lot yet, so I don't know a whole lot about this. I just had some pictures, and I thought I'd throw them on here. If anybody was interested, we could kind of go through them and go through them here real quick. This is a 2005 dash. There's kind of the internal parts of it. The center part of the dash. The temperature controls. And here you can see the heated seat switches. The back part of the console area with the traction control and the selective ride. Passenger side airbag light. The steering wheel, I believe the 05 steering wheel was a 1 year only steering wheel. The heads up display and the controls for that on the C6 here. 2006 dash. Here's a 2006 steering wheel. You can see it's a little different than the 2005. Just a kind of a 3-spoke deal. And if you had paddle shift, you got little controls up here on top. The horn area was in this area here. Driver information controls. And your turn signal, light switch, cruise control, your wiper controls. C7 dash. Hazard switch was between the air vents and the top part of the center part of the dash. Console area. You can see the park brake off to the right, the ashtray door, the leather shifter boot. I guess it's really not an ashtray, it's a cup holder in this console area. There's the storage area in the console. Steering wheel, you can see the paddle shift, and this also has controls for the radio on it. standard column versus a telescopic column. You can see the button here for the telescopic. If you had the memory package, that was mandatory. You can see there's no ignition switch. You just got the push button. You got to have the key fob with you. And there's controls for the radio and tuning and the navigation and all that stuff was there on the steering wheel. And you can see the buttons for the fuel door. And that's it. Any comments, any questions?
Yep, slide 461.
Okay.
Question was, I'll let you get to it. Looks like the performance mode for ride selection is gone. Was this incorporated in some other way?
I can't really tell you a whole lot about these because I really haven't gotten into them a whole lot yet. I'll have to do some more investigating. I just kind of threw this on kind of as a bonus, more or less, because I don't know a whole lot about them yet. Anybody can answer that?
All right, I don't see any other chat questions. Most people have their names or numbers listed. There's one person that's logged in as SEP222003. If you could update that with your name and your number, or let us know who you are, that way you can get your point assigned. I'd say within the next week or two, Rick will assign the points. Then it'll take National a few days after that to approve them. And if you do log in to your account on the National website, when you're in the forums, you click on your profile and there it will tell you all the points you've earned. So that'll be the way to tell if you've gotten your point. If you see one missing, just email Rick or I, depending on who's hosting, and provide us with your name and NCRS number, and then we can verify. A lot of times we do miss one or two people when we've got 130, 150 to manage. Rick, did you see? Yep.
Nick?
Go ahead.
Nick, this is Pat.
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, our prior discussion, I was able to follow the entire session on the iPhone while being mobile through Florida.
Okay. And your name again was?
That was Pat Fulham.
Okay.
Pat Fulham, F-U-L-L-A. Yeah, we talked about this before.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, Rick, make sure you check and make sure there's no issues when you go through the list.
I hope everybody enjoyed it and got a little bit or learned a little bit of something out of this. I sure learned a lot putting it together for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I think you did an outstanding job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. And
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
thank you.
Great job. Thank you so much.